Good morning, everyone. Welcome into CUTV Sports 1, another edition of Forechecking here on CUTV. We just wrapped up the second round of the NHL playoffs, already moved ahead to the conference finals. We're here to give you guys a recap and take a look moving ahead and making predictions as well. Let's send it over to our gallery view so everyone is available to be seen. Our usual co-host with me today, Johnny Sakaguchi, Nolan Bistline, Peyton Trollinger, our hockey expert, Doug Glattke. Our special guest returns for a third straight time in Scotty. And then we have Colin Kirkwood finally joining us on the show. We've been trying to get him for a while. How you doing up there, Colin?
Partner, glad to be here. Finally able to clear things on the schedule, and what a great time to join.
Absolutely. It definitely is a good one. We're going to jump right into it, into the second round, looking ahead at one of the first matchups that we had. Let's get this one out of the way. Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Boston Bruins. It was a big win for Tampa Bay, 4-1 in that series. Let's throw it right over. I'm going to go to Doug here first. And, Doug, give me your opinions on this series.
I mean, just Tampa Bay exercising the demons, man. You know, they're finally getting back to the Stanley Cup final. Or to the Eastern Conference final. Oh my God, I'm jumping the gun this morning. But you know, they looked really good. I was surprised. You know, I said last show that the Bruins were gonna go to the Stanley Cup with the way things were lining up for them. But you know, this is something big. I mean, we got to keep in mind they're doing all this without Steven Stamkos. You know, their head coach John Cooper is really betting on himself here with this group because, you know, if he wasn't able to get past the first or second round, I think it was almost a guarantee he was going to end up getting fired. So, you know, good for him for the conference final with this group. And, you know, I think it's one of those things where it's like when you have big talent, surround them with good players. Like they have Barclay Goodrow, Blake Coleman. They have some interesting defensemen like Braden Coburn and Luke Shen. And it's like, I see this and I'm like, why can't the Penguins do this?
Yeah, I feel that same way. Let's shoot over to Scotty, our special guest, and your opinions on this series.
Yeah, I've been talking pretty highly about the Tampa Bay Lightning, and once again, they continue to do what they've done throughout the entire playoffs. They are performing the way they should. Braden Point, once again, had a great series. Andre Palat was a premier goal scorer for them in this series. Nikita Kucherov playing as well as he is. Victor Hedman was really playing well in this past series. And, of course, Andrei Vasilevsky playing up to the Vezina caliber that we are used to seeing from him. So, again, you know, Tampa Bay doing what they're supposed to do. On the other hand, for the Boston Bruins, you're kind of at a crossroads right now heading into this offseason. From the reports that I'm seeing, it sounds like Tuukka Rask has played his last game in Boston. In fact, he might be done altogether. So you're going to have to look at it in a goaltending situation because I doubt Yaroslav Halak's going to be the guy for you moving forward. Zdeno Chara, sounds like it sounds like the Bruins don't plan on bringing him back. He may not want to retire, but I don't think he's going to keep continuing to play in Boston. Not to mention, Torrey Krug is also going to be looking for a massive payday. So if the Bruins are going to want to have him back, they're going to have to, you know, open their wallets in order to get him. So Boston Bruins are kind of an interesting place this offseason. I'm not saying that, you know, there's no need to panic, obviously. You're still a good team, but just a couple things that need to be addressed heading into this offseason moving forward. So we'll see how they handle it.
All right, let's shoot over to Colin Kirkwood here and your opinions on this one, Colin.
It's super crazy for me to see them finally start to get where they need to be, and they're really making a push. I mean, it's been quite some time since we've seen Tampa Bay do anything of a large push in the playoffs, and they're actually getting their act together, which is very exciting to see for the fans down in Tampa Bay. It's been a while since they took on the Penguins a couple of years ago in that playoff run that Pittsburgh had, but this is a great core of guys. I've seen a lot of them come up through the minors. A lot of them are playing for the Syracuse Crunch. I've seen them since they were just little tykes, and they continue to push their way forward. A lot of different guys, they cut their teeth down there, and it's starting to show. They're bringing all the skill they need to push forward, and it's just lucky for them. This might be the time. You never know. And the offense continues to look great. One of the interesting things from yesterday I saw was the fact that they managed to only miss the net one time, and it was about a minute or maybe about 2 minutes until the end of the game. Other than that, they hit the net every single time they shot at it.
It's definitely a good thing to do if you're shooting on net for sure. Let's shoot over Nolan Bistline. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, once Boston kind of lost Tuukka Rask, I just thought, I don't think Halak can do it. I just didn't think they had enough. And then Boston just had that all-around random playoff experience, kind of, the round robin before the playoffs even started, kind of, that 0-3 start and just kind of back and forth. But Tampa really showed, like Colin said, all those guys from the minors really worked their way up and starting to show. And you almost think, like, who's Steven Stamkos on that team? Because, he hasn't played in so long. And if you think about it, they may not even need him whenever he comes back, which would be crazy to think. But that team right now is something that I think has Stanley Cup caliber on it.
Peyton, how about you? Your thoughts?
So, this is what I think. I'm very happy that the Bruins are eliminated. That's the Yinzer part of me coming out. I don't like Boston, but
Bias much?
Yeah, just a little bit. I don't like Boston, but I got to give them credit. They are a really good team. But more for Tampa. This is it's about time they do something. Like, they have just been a disappointment these past years. Like, I'll never forgive them from last year when they got swept by the Jackets. I was like, all right, I'm never believing in this team ever again. But, the last couple years, they've just been really bad. Like, they've President's Trophy caliber, performances, and they just are not good in the playoffs. But, it's about time they've realized their potential and have made it to the conference finals again. Now, regard whether or not they make it to the finals and win the cup, that's to be determined. But, it's about time they realize their potential and they play up to it.
And Johnny, how about you?
I was honestly shocked at how fast the series wrapped up. But believe me, I honestly thought this was going to be one of those series that was going to go to distant. And it's when you hear the Boston Bruins and the Tampa Bay Lightning, you're thinking, oh, this is going to be a 7-game series, and this is going to be a while before we see anything happen. No, we wrapped it up in 5 games. And right now, as we speak, we have Braden Point and Nikita Kucherov, two of Tampa's top scorers right now in the top 5 of active playoff scoring, with Point at 23 points and Kucherov coming up with 21. And honestly, we've already said it earlier, the Tampa Bay Lightning's finding ways to win games with these guys from the minors without all Steven Stamkos. And it's when you hear that, it's kind of shocking, honestly. But I'm looking forward to see what these guys can do. And last night they proved against the Islanders they can still score, and they did it 8 times. Hopefully the rest of the series doesn't go that way. I'd like to see Tampa and the Islanders kind of battle it out a little bit, but we'll see how this playoff continues, and we'll go from there.
All right, now getting back to gallery view here and wrapping up that first game of the East. One more in the East. We're going to finish out the East first, then we'll move on to the West. I'm going to say that one specific West game for last, and you all know which one I'm talking about, but the viewers will probably realize that eventually too. Johnny's grinning up there because he knows exactly what I'm talking about. But let's go to the other East one first. The rest of these games, of course, went to Game 7. The Tampa Bay and Boston series were the only ones to not make it to Game 7. So let's shoot it over. Philadelphia Flyers and the New York Islanders. Of course, we all know the New York Islanders have advanced to this next round here to the conference final to play Tampa Bay. But they won it 4-3. They were up originally big time, and then the Flyers somehow managed to come back. But they ended up pulling it off in the end with a 4-0 victory in Game 7. So let's shoot it over here. Let's shuffle the deck here, and it's going to be Nolan Bistline first. What I'm doing, ladies and gentlemen, in the background is I try to spin a random wheel to pick who goes first, and Nolan, you were first. So let's shoot it over to you. Your thoughts on the Flyers and the Islanders.
Yeah, I mean, that series, I kind of thought it was over, after Game 5, after they went up 3-1. I'm like, okay, this is kind of it. But, the Flyers fought back. But my opinion, I didn't think Carter Hart played to his potential. I mean, that first round, we kind of saw him, and he was just kind of shining all over the Canadians. And then this round, it just felt like there was a bunch that he couldn't do. And sure, it's the Islanders. I get that they're a tough team, as I see Peyton smirking down there in the corner of my screen. But, it was a heck of a series. But for the Islanders, just continuing that pressure. And, after last night, we won't get too far ahead, but tough loss for them last night. But I think they'll be able to regroup and make a push against Tampa.
I'll throw it over to Johnny here. He finally added his virtual background, as he said he was going to do from the CUTV meeting open house. So, Johnny, go ahead, take it away. Islanders and Flyers. Give us a recap.
I honestly forgot I had this on here. here. It was definitely a good series, and I honestly thought Philadelphia might have pulled off the upset and come back to win that series. He says, well, they forced the Game 7, but I don't know what it is. Barry Trotz and the Islanders keeps even finding ways to win. Now they're going to have to dig deep and try to find a way to win against Tampa Bay. Hey, but I'll save that opinion for later.
Okay, let's shoot over to Scotty here. Scotty, your thoughts.
Another great series once again by the Islanders. Brock Nelson led the way, of course, offensively. Josh Bailey's been the ultimate setup man for them. Barzell and Eberle also had great series. Derek Brassard, too, also did a nice little job there. Could have wished I could have seen that in black and gold when he was here, but I'm not going to be that guy. And even in the goaltending situation, even when Varlamov kind of fell on hard times, Thomas Greiss stepped in and did exactly what he was supposed to do, and he was a solid option for them between the pipes. My one question for Philadelphia is, and I mean maybe I'm just being too harsh here, but why is Claude Giroux still their captain? I honestly got to question that. When you look at the last 3 times the Philadelphia Flyers went to the playoffs, Claude Giroux has been almost non-existent in all those playoff series. He just hasn't been the guy he hasn't been the leader that he should be. In 2016, he had 1 point in 6 games. In 2018, he had 3 and 6. And this year, 2020, he had 8 points in 16 games. And during that time, he's been a minus 11. I don't think that's a guy that you want leading your team going forward, especially with a team that now many consider to be a cup contender. I don't think he should be the leader for those guys moving forward. I honestly don't think Carter Hart played that horribly in this series either. I just think he didn't get the help that he needed to. And part of that reflects back on the leadership that Claude Giroux doesn't really bring to that Flyer team.
All right, shooting over to Colin Kirkwood. Give us your opinions.
Well, you have to love this series as a hockey fan. So many different goals scored in all of those games. But really, one of the things I like to see comes out of the Islanders. I mean, you look at them coming off the mat here. They came out of the gate flying, and then they dropped 5 and 6 those games respectively. And you think, wow, it's pretty much over for them. This team's probably going to roll over. They don't have that much experience. They haven't played that many playoff games, but they come off the mat, no less, to shut them out in Game 7. Another great performance from Greiss. And this is what you want to look for. Every championship team has a defining moment in their run. And I got to tell you, after dropping 2 straight and bouncing back with the Game 7 shutout, I know it was a bit rocky yesterday when they took on the first game of the Eastern Conference Finals, but I like to think that might be the DVD moment, the championship DVD. There's always some part where it gets talked about that something like that happened. That might be it if they can get their act together going forward.
All right, let's shoot it over to our Barry Trotz fan and Peyton Trollinger.
Yep, that's me. I'm a Barry Trotz stan over here. It's just they beat the Flyers. Like, they really did. They went up 3-1 the series, kind of like what Nolan said, and then the Flyers came back. They've won games 5 and 6, and then they came out, kind of like Colin said, and shut them out in Game 7. I was very nervous that they were going to end up losing the series, and I would have not been happy because, I really do believe in the Islanders. They have a really good group over there. And kind of like what Colin was saying, I feel like that first game against Tampa was kind of like a fluke. I feel like they can gun it out, but we'll save that for later. But, they're just a really resilient group, and no matter the odds stacked against them, they're going to get through it. They kind of remind me of the Penguins back in, I believe 2016, 2017. They were kind of an underdog. Like, they were good, but they were kind of like that underdog. And, the Islanders are that underdog, and I feel like a lot of people sleep on them still.
Okay, I agree with that. And last but not least, we got Mr. Doug Glattke.
All right, guys. So this is a crazy one. The Islanders were in control, and then the Flyers came back. The Flyers are assembled. I think they're a really good team that are on the rise, especially with Oscar Lindblom being able to come back and play in this series. But, they just couldn't. Sometimes there's teams who can't solve the trap that Barry Trotz runs, the Penguins being one of them. And, I'm excited for this, for the Islanders to go into the conference final, because I feel like that's the type of system that could destroy Tampa Bay, could make them crumble. But after last night, I don't know. We're going to have to see, but I think if some more consistent goaltending, the Islanders goalies could keep the team in the game long enough for the Islanders to strike and make this series very interesting.
I can agree with that for sure. So let's end that out for the East. Let's shoot it over to the West. Again, still going to save that one for last. So let's do the other West series first. In the Vegas Golden Knights and the Vancouver Canucks also going to Game 7. I thought my prediction, if you guys remember from last show, I predicted Vancouver to get swept. Sorry, Peyton. So I was wrong.
Miss on that one.
I was wrong. So we'll talk about the Game 7 and that whole series. So let's spin the wheel here and let's see coming up and look at that. Peyton, you're first.
Oh.
So Vegas and Vancouver. Go ahead.
How convenient that the wheel picked me. But it was just a great series, honestly. I think it was very foolish of you to say that Vancouver was going to get swept, but I respect it. They're both really good teams, and I had hope because, the Canucks swept them in Game 6, but then, Vegas just came out, used that depth against the Canucks and just got them out. I really wanted the Canucks to advance, but I think the better team won here. I think Vancouver does have a very bright future, though, if they keep with the plan. I feel like they can do something. And, Vegas is a very great team. They have a lot of depth. They get a lot of scoring from a lot of different places. They have a good goalie tandem and Robin Leonard and Marc-Andre Fleury. I'm sure Doug doesn't like Fleury, though, but it's all right. But, regardless of anyone's opinions, I still think it's a really good goalie tandem. But, just simple as that. Mark Stone has been on fire for them. So I feel like if they continue that scoring, that they can do really well.
The wheel now says that Doug is next. So Doug, take it away.
I mean, this was an incredible series. Vancouver gave the Golden Knights a run for their money. I mean, it had everything. We went from, Fleury causing drama within the Golden Knights organization to, the Canucks storming back with Thatcher Demko, who was absolutely incredible. I feel so bad for that guy that the team was unable to give him so-called run support in Game 7. But, with Vegas, man, this has been a coming out party. This entire playoff has been a coming out party for Mark Stone, who has been one of the most underrated defensive forwards in the league with a great scoring touch. And same with Shea Theodore. He's turning himself into a Norris Trophy caliber defenseman over there. And it's unbelievable to think that the Anaheim Ducks exposed him in expansion just basically to accommodate Kevin BX's no movement clause at the time of the expansion draft. So, props to Vegas. They have a great team, and, who knows? They might be the team that comes out of the West. We'll have to see, though.
All right, Colin, you are next. Take it away.
I mean, how can you not love the future for Vancouver going forward here? It's just they have such a great core that I think is going to become a great thing in the league going forward here. But you really thought they had a chance going into Game 7. When you come out, you only get 14 shots on goal throughout a Game 7. That's just not it. And, you're going to have that. It's a younger team, and they need to learn. They need to cut their teeth in experiences like that. Yeah, they disposed to St. Louis rather quickly, which surprised a lot of people. But either way, it's just going to be a thing where they're learning forward. And here, I think the next couple of years, you're going to see them being a force in the Western Conference. A lot of great guys on that team, Bo Horvat and company. They're going to do some great things. They just needed to learn what it was like to lose, so being so close to a final.
Yeah, I do see a lot of future in that team coming forward. And Johnny, you are next.
And I have to agree with what Colin said, where I do look forward to the future of the Vancouver Canucks. A lot of young players on that. Before the Canucks were eliminated, Bo Horvat was leading the entire playoffs with 10 goals in the playoffs. And they had two or three players in the top five in scoring, and with JT Miller and Patterson and out there in Vancouver. So it's going to be exciting to watch what those guys can do. However, or when you have the current playoff leader in shutouts and Leonard out there or Vegas, who's leading the way with three of those and is one of the top top goalies in the playoffs as we can speak right now. With I just had his numbers up here and I lost them, but I'm going to see what Vegas can do in this conference finals. It's going to be an interesting series, but I'm definitely looking forward to next year with the Vancouver Canucks.
All right, Scotty, you're up.
Yeah, another great series by the Golden Knights. Doug really touched on it. Shea Theodore and Mark Stone were absolute huge performers. And once again, as I think Peyton touched on earlier as well, the depth scoring really came in for the Golden Knights. The Golden Knights had more depth scoring all the way down as compared to Vancouver. And Robin Leonard did what Robin Leonard's been doing the entire playoffs. So you got to tip your hat to them. They did a good job. As was mentioned earlier by Colin, another great series, another great job by the Vancouver Canucks also. This is not a moment to hang your head at all. This team is going to be around for a while. You have the young core with Pedersen, Hughes, Horvat, and you can even mix in to a certain extent a JT Miller, for example. And now with the goaltending situation, that looks eerily familiar to something we saw 8 or 9 years ago with Roberto Luongo and Corey Schneider. Now it seems like it's starting to happen again here with Thatcher Demko and Jacob Markstrom. So, hopefully they handle this situation better than they did the last time around. And regardless of if they do or not, I still think that Vegas is going to have a bright future going forward. I mean, not Vegas, Vancouver. They both will. What am I saying? They're both going to have a bright future.
We got what you meant.
Yeah.
Moving forward, and Nolan Bistline finishes out with that series.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much everybody touched on the main points. I mean, for Vancouver, a bright future. Demko really made his point where that next year he could, be a contender for that starter spot and really, carry the Canucks back to maybe even the finals next year. And for Vegas, another strong playoffs. But I think if they don't get past this upcoming round, I still think changes could be coming there. 3 seasons in a row. Made it the first season, but then last year got knocked out, I believe, in the second round. And then this year made it to the conference finals. So we'll see what they can do against Johnny's Blues. Or not Blues, Stars. Stars.
Johnny's probably a little offended there. He's like, I don't like the Blues. I want a Blues jersey. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm going to get one. Anyway, that wraps up that one, and we're to our final series of the West second round. You all know what this series is. So I can't resist Johnny's smile in my right top corner. So it's going to go to him first as soon as I say what this game is. I have to ask, Johnny, do you have your file cabinet?
Why do I need that when I got it pulled up here?
Do you have your door? You got to run through your door.
I'm not doing that. I don't need the landlord questioning me.
It's the Colorado Avalanche and the Dallas Stars also going to 7 games. Johnny, go ahead and take your rant. Just go ahead.
I told you said this Dallas Post would not pull it off. I will say this. I was wrong on my predictions. I thought Dallas was going to do it in 5, and they almost did it. Yeah, but I pulled it off and forced the game 7. And Dallas between Jamie Benn and Mirko Henschel and the rookie Dennis Gronov. It's a full powerhouse team, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do against the Vegas Knights in this next series. Already taking game 1, but we'll get to that here in a little bit.
All right, that was a much shorter rant than I predicted. So let's shoot it over to Doug Glattke, who's next on the random wheel of wonders. So let's go over to Doug.
I'm really liking the Stars team right now. You know, they had Colorado trapped, man. It's unfortunate that Francouz and Grubauer both got hurt, but there's a rumor that they're in the market for a particular polarizing goalie. So we're gonna have those. But you know, Michael Hutchison, man, just what a random guy. Just he randomly finds himself in the best situation possible every single time. And you know, I think Johnny touched on it big. Like Miro Heiskanen has been unreal for Dallas. You know, a big part of the reason that Dallas is here right now is because they have 3 elite defensemen who are able to get the puck up in transition to their forwards. You know, and then PK, it just brings such joy to my heart that you got your heart broken by nobody even knew existed until 2 hours before the game. Like literally, I got out of work, saw Yul Kivirant goals going into overtime, and I texted my buddies, and I'm like, no idea who this guy is. It was just incredible.
I was driving to Red Lobster and listening to it in the car when that goal was scored in overtime in Game 7, and I was like, I just wanted to drive the car off the road.
What a way to put that! Like, good way to put that on live on the internet.
Because you know I'm joking. That's why I can say it.
Oh my goodness.
That's incredible.
Wow.
if you knew I was serious, I couldn't say that. But you know darn well I'm joking, so it's perfectly fine.
All right. Well, whatever you say, we'll go with
it. Let's shoot it over to Scotty. He's next on the wheel.
Of all these series that we've seen so far, I think this one was probably the most peculiar. You know, I'm throwing around my SAT words right now because I honestly cannot explain just how this series went. When you look at Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen, Burakovsky, Makar, Kadri, all had great series. Even Michael Hutchinson, who, you know, has been a meme for the past year or so, basically comes out of nowhere and becomes the savior for Colorado. I know the salt levels in Toronto have got to be of astronomical proportions, seeing how well he's played in the series. And then you look at the Dallas Stars too. Janin, as we mentioned, Heiskanen, even Radulov and Guryanov all had great series. It just was really peculiar. I'm looking at the plus minus for both teams. Colorado was a plus 28, and Dallas was a minus 29, yet somehow Dallas is the team that walks away with the series victory, which I thought was insane. Hudobin didn't even have a save percentage above 9, and he still ends up winning the series as well. And Doug touched on it earlier. The most crazy part of all this is no one's even heard of this Cervanta kid heading into it. He finally gets to play one game in Game 7, and he gets a hat trick and knocks the Avalanche out of playoff contention. So, tip your hat to the Stars. Another great series by them. For Colorado, I don't think there's anything to worry about. I am more than confident that the Colorado Avalanche will win a Stanley Cup in this decade. This year wasn't their year, but it's coming soon, I'm sure.
All right. Well, I hope so as a Colorado fan. I agree with you. I'm sure that the Toronto fans are a little salty about Kadri scoring and the way he's scoring here in Colorado. So I big fan of that. Next on the wheel is Colin Kirkwood. Colin, take it away. Whoops. Hang on. Wait. Wrong one. I clicked the wrong button, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Colin, you're up.
Well, I originally started the show with this hat on because it's a Dallas tribute for Johnny for the rest of this. So you can consider this the Rally Cowboy hat going on in the future. But another great Game 7 on the ledger. You can't ask for anything better than that. And I got to tell you, Dallas really showed a lot of persistence in that game. I mean, when you have goals scored against you and you go ahead in Game 7, it's almost heartbreaking if you're not prepared to come back and you don't have your nose to the grindstone to be able to go forward with it. But every single time after they would go down by 1, it was like clockwork. They would find a way to get straight back in it, not very long after the goal was scored. That's the kind of mentality you want to bring here. And that killer instinct is going to serve them well going forward into the future here. I think this is going to be one heck of a conference final here in the West. You're going to have 2 great teams who are looking to duke it out. 2 great teams who really deserve to get their name on a Stanley Cup here in the future. And I I'm excited. I literally can't wait to see how the series is going to play out.
All right, Nolan Bistline is up next.
Yeah, I mean, heck of a series by Dallas, and just a little stat for you that Kiviranta played 48 games in the AHL this season, and now he had a hat trick in that game. So it just shows you that even though they may be AHL guys that come up, they still show pride that, they want to be there. And, maybe he wrote his name into, this next round or the next round, the finals, where he's playing in every game instead of just coming in just to fill in. But I think Scotty was saying, Colorado definitely still has it. I think the goaltending definitely just didn't help their cause, but Michael Hutchinson really came out of nowhere and helped them out as much as possible. Just tough series there, but this finals, I think Vegas and Dallas, I think it's going 7 no matter what. I know I said that probably a little bit early, but I think that's just going to be a series that's going to battle it out the whole way.
Okay. And Peyton, go ahead. So the changes. There we go.
So, Johnny is probably, laughing at me because I think in the last episode I slept on the Stars heavily and probably shouldn't have, but I had good reasons to do that. I just thought that the Avalanche just had such an amazing group of guys, and they still do. I just really thought that they could gun it out, but the Stars, I think I severely underrated Miro Heiskanen. He's such a great defenseman, and he is definitely going to be a future star this league, and I can't wait to see him develop into a great player that he is. There's not really much to say. Dallas just simply, they had the grit, they had the motivation to overcome the Colorado Avalanche, who everybody thought was going to win, and they didn't. So there you go.
Thanks for keep rubbing that in my face. I really appreciate that. All right, so we've recapped all of these second round games. We're moving ahead to the conference finals. Again, touch on them real quick and then give a prediction as we normally do on who you think will win and how many games. And then we'll talk about a couple of things at the end before we wrap up the show. So East or West, I'm going to spin the wheel to start. And let's see. And we're going to start with the West. There we go. Vegas and the Dallas Stars. That will be our conference final of the West, the winner advancing to the Stanley Cup Finals. And the wheel is saying that Colin goes first. So, Colin, give us short little insight on it, and then give us your prediction, who wins and how many games you think it's going to go to in the series.
Definitely going to be a 7-gamer if you ask me. Both of these teams, at least Vegas, they've been here before. They know what it's going to take, and I really think Vegas is going to get this done in 7 a year. They remember what it's like to lose against the Capitals a few years ago, and they want to get back there, and they want to be one of the most successful expansion franchises in the history of the league.
All right, so Vegas is 7 for Colin. The wheel says Scotty is next, so give us your prediction, Scotty.
This is going to be another great series. I expect this one to, be a lengthy one as well. And Colin touched on it as well. The Golden Knights have a chance to do something that we really haven't seen in a while, if in any sport for that matter. Seeing a relatively new expansion team go to the Stanley Cup 2 times in their first 3 years, that's a chance for something special. And I am taking Vegas in 6. I'm not jumping on the Dallas hype train yet. Sorry, Johnny. I'm not convinced just yet. I feel like the Golden Knights still have the offensive power, and I feel like it's not going to be enough. I feel like it's going to be too much for Hudobin to handle. I know we got a shutout game 1. I'm not looking too deep into it. I'm still going to go with the Golden Knights in 6.
All right, Peyton, you are next on the list.
Kind of like what Scotty said. I'm not gonna hop on the Dallas hype train just yet. I do agree with Colin that I think this is going to go the distance. I think it's going to be Vegas in 7, just simply because the depth. They just have great depth scoring. I said earlier in the show. You get guys like Max Pacioretty, Stone's going to keep producing for them. Leonard's going to continue to be solid with. Hopefully, Fleury will get a couple games, but if not, he's there as a backup. But I just really think that Vegas is going to take this series, and they're going to get the they're going to get I was going to say the Clarence Campbell Trophy. I think that's the Western Conference trophy, but yeah, they're going to advance.
All right, Nolan Bistline, you are next.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna let Johnny try to do most of my time, but I'm taking, I'm just gonna hop on this underdog train, and I'm gonna join Johnny with the Stars in 7.
All right. I like it. Let's see. Doug, you are next.
All right, so I think we're going to see Vegas in 7. This is going to be one of those, it's going to be like a Rocky Drago fight in Rocky, where it's going to be an intense one from the jump. And, I'm going with the experience factor here. I think that Vegas has a lot more guys who've gone on deep playoff runs. And I think they have a lot more skill, and, they have better goaltending. They have 2 great goalies. I hate Fleury with a passion, but he's still solid. And Leonard has been incredible. So I'm going to go Vegas in 7 here, and they're going to go back to the Stanley Cup final.
All right, and Johnny, I think you are the last one, right?
Yeah, I believe so. And thank you, Nolan, for jumping on the train with me on this one. And once again, I'm going against the party, and I'm picking Dallas to win this one. Once again, it is a loaded series. You have both teams very talented on both sides. It's offensive and defensively. As I said earlier, and Doug and I believe Colin and Scotty have also said about all the different weapons that Vegas and Dallas have. So it's going to be an interesting series, and I think this could end up either being a high-scoring affair, or we're going to have another one like we did in Game 1 where it's a 1-goal or 2-goal game. But we'll see how it plays out. But give me Dallas in 6.
All right,
Yeah,
I am going
to interject here. But I was promised a filing cabinet hitting here at some point and a certain chant from somebody. So
Johnny,
I feel like we need it since you're picking it.
All right, I'll give it to you. Dallas Stars. Dallas Stars.
It was promised. So, I mean, that's only right.
Tell me that.
You gonna run through that door?
No, I'm not paying for a door.
You gonna do the WWE intro through that door and back into the Zoom?
Nah.
Give us the content, Johnny. All right. I'm gonna also agree. I'm gonna agree with Scotty. I'm not on the Dallas train quite yet. 7-game series for sure. I'll give you that. But Vegas is gonna take the victory in that one. Let's jump over and let's do the East one, and it's the New York Islanders and the Tampa Bay Lightning. That is our East one. Again, shoot over to everybody here. Quick prediction and your pick, and give us what you got. First up on the list is Nolan Bistline. Go ahead, Nolan.
Going first.
That's what the wheel says.
Yeah, it's all good. 2 talented teams coming head to head. I mean, I know, I don't want to look ahead and talk about the series too much, but the Islanders kind of got smacked last night, basically. We'll say that. But I think Barry Trotz is going to be able to rebound and get that team back to where they need to be. So, but Tampa at the same time, a strong team. So, I hate to say it, but I'm taking the Islanders in 7.
Islanders in 7. All right. Barry Trotz fan, you're next on the wheel.
Yes, I am. Now, this is what I'm thinking. Okay. So yeah, they got smacked game 1, but I had a vision.
You still have hope? Oh, you have a vision. Okay, let's hear this.
I was at my house, obviously, and I went to use the bathroom, and I thought to myself, I saw a vision of the Islanders winning the Prince of Wales trophy in 6 games over the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Okay, we'll go with that vision. That works. That works.
No
Scotty,
reason, but
Scotty, you're next.
Well, Peyton, I don't know what vision you saw, but I kind of had a different one, and it was what was on the TV last night after Game 1. I mean, it was
8-2.
Last episode, I picked the Islanders to go into the finals against Vegas, and gotta say, after Game 1 last night, I was wondering how Tampa was going to handle the Islanders' defensive scheme, and they had absolutely zero issues with it whatsoever. Pretty much ran through them the entire time. So Yep, I think I'm going to switch things up here. I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Lightning win this in 7. I still feel like it's going to be a competitive series. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like offense is going to prevail over defense here. I'm going to go with Tampa in 7.
All right, Colin, you're next.
How fitting is it that a team that struggled to find any kind of home ice consistency for the past couple of years is so close to being one of the last teams in a tournament where no one has any home ice whatsoever, going back and forth between the Nassau Coliseum and the Barclays Center? Can't decide where you want to go. Heck, we'll build a whole nother new one for them to play in. But I really think the Islanders are going to get their act together here. It's going to be a 7-gamer if they do, but I'm cautiously optimistic with them in 7 games, despite their train wreck of a game 1.
All right. Johnny, you're next.
I have to agree with Scotty. Peyton, I don't know what you saw, but I saw a lot of stuff last night on the TV for that one. But if I had to pick, I think this could still be an interesting series. But as last show, I did pick Dallas and Tampa Bay to go to the final. So give me the Tampa Bay Lightning in 6.
Okay. All right. I think, Doug, you are our last one, right?
Yeah.
All right. Hit me. What you got?
All right, so I'm going with Colin. The Islanders are going to right the ship, and they're going to win it in 7 games. You know, this team is just too weird and too defensively sound to let one game dictate where this thing goes. I think they're going to go back to Varlamov in game 2, and he's going to get hot, and it's going to right the ship, man. You know, I think that as long as Barzal and Beauvillier are able to keep doing what they've been doing the entire playoffs, being absolutely phenomenal when the opportunity presents itself, that this team's going to be just fine. And I think we're going to see a Vegas Islanders Stanley Cup final. That's going to be, if you would have came to me at the beginning of when the season started in last October and would have told me that's going to end up being the Stanley Cup final, I would have probably slapped you. So that's crazy that might end up being what it is.
Yeah, and you know, for me, I didn't have either one of those teams from the East getting where they're at, so I'm kind of at my wit's end trying to predict things. As I had the Flyers making it to the Stanley Cup final and winning it all. So my bracket's been busted since day 1, ladies and gentlemen. When everybody kind of went out of my whole family bracket, I was in last place and still am in last place with a bunch of red on my bracket. So if I had to make a prediction right now, just give me the Islanders and see what happens in 7 games. Because at this point, I have no idea whatsoever. All right. So jumping back to gallery view here, we got everybody in the picture. Couple little things. Of course, we're in the second round here. The Vegas Golden Knights play against the Stars again tonight in Game 2 of the West Conference Finals. Tomorrow night, of course, in Game 2 of the East Conference Finals. Make sure you tune in and watch those games. We progress. We'll have another show after those before moving into the finals. But let's talk about a couple little things here before we end out the show. If you're Penguins fans, we'll switch over to gears of the Pittsburgh Penguins, since that's the home team here in the area. And I know Doug brought this up. Talk about Kasperi Kapanen first. The trade with Kasperi Kapanen from Toronto back to Pittsburgh. I'll shoot to you here, Doug, first, and give us a little insight on it.
All right, so earlier, probably like 2 weeks ago now, right? Kasperi Kapanen was traded to the Penguins for the 15th overall pick in this year's draft, Philip Hollander, David Warsofsky, and Evan Rodriguez. And the Penguins also received Pontus Aberg and defensive prospect Jesper Lindgren, along with Kapanen from Toronto. You know, this is one of those trades, like, when it first happened, I'm not going to lie to you, I was very skeptical. I thought that they gave up a little too much, maybe just one asset too many. But at the same time, you know, Kapanen has that top 6 player upside. He has that ability. He's probably going to slot right in with Crosby and Gensel. And, you know, he has a chance to be the solution to the Penguins' top 6. We know from the past couple years, you know, we've been running with guys like Connor Sherry, Dom Simone, who have been okay, but like they don't have the finishing ability that a top 6 winger should have. And the worst case scenario, in my opinion, for Kapanen is he ends up being a really, really good third liner on a championship caliber team. You know, like I could see him rolling up with McCann on the third line. I'm just going to act like Jared McCann is still in the picture right now, but I don't know. But I like the trade, and I think, you know, it's just the beginning of a long, crazy, tumultuous offseason here in Pittsburgh.
All right. I'm going to shift to Colin here, and your thoughts about this trade.
I'm kind of with Doug here. I was pretty skeptical right off the bat here. I feel like the asset management department of the entire team has been a little skeptical as of late. But I mean, at the same time, you can look at it on the other token and say, well, they're trying to maximize the championship window for as much as they can for as long as they can. But I agree. He was a great prospect when he was first brought in by Pittsburgh, shipped off in that Phil Kessel deal a couple of years ago. And they must have liked him enough and they liked his production to bring him back and try to fit him back into the lineup. So, I mean, the sky's the limit here at this point. But Doug and I were also talking a couple of days ago. I don't think they're done being trade partners yet. I think Toronto may have another deal up their sleeve with Pittsburgh trying to acquire one goaltender.
Okay. All right. I like how you're thinking. Scotty, let's shoot over to you here.
Yeah, Doug and I talked the day this deal was made, and I obviously told him how skeptical I was about it, and I'm still not 100% sold on it. I feel like this deal is kind of similar to that of Jason Zucker, where I feel like you give Hallander or you give up the first-round pick. You don't give up both. It's not a knock against Kapanen. You know, he's a great player, and I feel like he does have that top six potential. I won't say that he will be a fixture on the top six, but he definitely has that potential. I just feel like the Penguins gave up a little too much. And, you know, Jim Rutherford, I've obviously been skeptical of his moves over the past few years, and this was another one that I kind of felt the same way about. And just a little factoid here for you guys and for our viewers as well. The Penguins' first-round pick was a 15th overall, if I'm correct. The last time the Penguins traded a first-round pick in the teens, it ended up becoming Matt Barzal, who is absolutely tearing through the Eastern Conference right now. So history is on the side of the Penguins at this moment.
I can agree with what you mean there. Let's shoot it back over to Gallyview here, and I had to shoot it back to Gallyview just because we had some freezing going on here. So let's shoot over now to Johnny and your thoughts about the trade.
Again, this is one of those moves. I was talking to Peyton and Doug the day this deal went down. Oh, and I was a little skeptical myself, and I was like, hey, we gave up a whole lot just to get Kapanen back. And now the more and more I look at it, and I'm starting to see how these guys could probably fill in the roster next year here immediately. So that way, now you'll have of a solid top six, possibly, as well as another defensive pairing. But I think agreeing with Scotty on this one, you either give up Hollander or you give up the first-round pick. And I honestly believe the Penguins should have kept the first-round pick. You gave up a little bit too much on that one, I feel. I still believe that to this day. It depends on how Toronto uses the pick and how it ends up benefiting that, if it could have helped the Penguins in the long run. But that's to be determined for another time.
All right, and I'm gonna shoot to Peyton. Last one for this, and the next topic. I'm gonna go to Nolan first because I want to talk to Nolan about it. So Peyton, give me your thoughts on the trade, and then I'm gonna shoot to Nolan on the next topic.
So kind of like what Johnny was saying, you know, I talked with him and Doug about this, and I absolutely hated the trade when it first got released. I was like, why? Why did we just do this? Like, I hated it. Simple as that. But I feel like we could have got Kapanen without giving up the 15th overall pick. That's just my opinion. I think we could have traded like a lower pick potentially. But, you know, now as the days and weeks have gone by, you know, I think that kind of makes a little bit more sense now because I'm starting to get a little bit clearer vision. But I do think that we shouldn't have gave up the 15th overall pick.
Okay. And I'm just gonna chime in quick before you come to me to the next thing.
Sure.
As a fellow divisional rival, I love this. Got rid of a first round pick, which could be a young gun for the next how many years, I know Doug probably hates it, but, you know, you just don't know for Kapanen if he's going to be good or bad. I mean, you brought in Nick Bukestad, and you saw the production out of him. So, you know, as a Caps fan, I love this move. So, good work, Penguins.
Okay, and I'm going to shoot right back over to Nolan because our last topic of the show, and then, of course, the next thing we're going to talk about, again, the last thing of the show, but Todd Reirden rejoining the Penguins, moving away from the head coaching spot at the Capitals and back to the Penguins. So, Nolan, I'll let you go first, and then I'm going to shoot to hockey expert Doug, and then let everybody else go after that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Todd Reirden kind of felt as though he got rewarded that position once Trotz left for the Islanders. And I think it was just kind of that time whenever, you know, that success story of the Caps kind of ended, was going to be his time ending in Washington. So, you know, not upset about it. I'm fine. Kind of sucks he's going back to a division rival, especially since he's going to know maybe what the Caps are going to do now. But, you know, for the Caps at least, I'll just go on that little rant really quick. You know, saw 2 articles looking at either Babcock or Gerald Gallant. So possibly, you know, somebody from Vegas who had that good run the first year, or Mike Babcock, you know, kind of been around the league a little bit, so try to bring in more of a veteran-style coach. So from my stand, I'm okay with the move that the Caps did with getting rid of him.
Okay. Doug, let's shoot to you.
All right, so this is something I brought up on the show a couple weeks ago, where I was like, what if we brought Todd Reirden back to run our defense and run our power play? And I think simply, I just kind of threw it in the dark because, you know, he ran one of the better power plays the Penguins have had in the Crosby-Malkin era. He resurrected Matt Niskanen's career, made him a very competent NHL defenseman again, and he made Derek Engelland an NHL player during his tenure here. And not even that, like, at the time of Reirden departing from Pittsburgh, he had Chris Letang producing at such a level of that of an elite defenseman. And if defense back to that, that's going to be huge because, you know, he has all the tools. You know, he has Letang, he has Marino, who I think could be very dynamic offensively. Produce more. I think he could produce more like his Harvard teammate Adam Fox does for the Rangers right now. And, you know, Pettersson and Dumoulin both have great shots. It's just they don't really use them. So if you can instill in them where it's like, okay, you can still take a calculated risk here every once in a while still covering for your partner, I think that'll really help spark the Penguins offense and spark the power play a little bit.
Okay. Shoot over Colin Kirkwood here.
I feel like we're actually not talking enough about, in this entire segment right here, we're not talking enough about Mike Vellucci. This is a guy who I think is going to make a difference for this team coming in here. He's worked a lot with younger prospect players before. Of course, he was just coming off his first season as GM for Wilkes-Barre Scranton down in the minor league. But before that, he had done a lot of work, and he was a very big part of the Charlotte Checkers and how they did in 2018-19. And just to put that in perspective for you, in that minor league season for Charlotte in that Carolina farm system, you went 51-17, all while pushing for a Calder Cup championship for the Checkers. So this is a guy who's been around a lot of young talent. He knows how to identify different things. He knows who's going to fit good where. And I really think that this is going to be someone who's going to make a deal going forward here. He's going to fit people in. He's going to show you different things. He's going to give you different looks with younger guys. And that's ultimately what they want to do in the organization. Get good guys from Wilkes-Barre, bring them up, fit them in, and go forward.
I like the looks of that for sure. Scotty, go ahead.
I'm all on board with bringing in Todd Reirden as well as Vellucci. I think they're both going to be great additions to our coaching staff. You know, as Doug mentioned, he's helped Reirden respectively has helped out a lot of defensemen. I don't know what miracles still have to work in order to get Jack Johnson back to his old caliber, but hopefully that is possible. And the power play obviously needed some work. We saw it in the Montreal series. It wasn't where it needed to be. So hopefully he can make the right adjustments, and maybe this is a step in the right direction for Pittsburgh.
All right, Peyton, go ahead.
So, I the Penguins recently just got rid of a lot of their coaches. So I think bringing in, Mike Bellucci, Todd Reardon, whoever else they brought in, I think it's going to be a really nice shakeup to the coaching staff, and maybe it's a jump that will help Pittsburgh in the future. I've heard really good things about Todd Reardon, so I'm not opposed to it. We'll give him another shot. I think he'll do really good. And kind of like what Doug was saying, maybe you can get Letang, Dumoulin, Pedersen, Marino, just get those numbers up. Hopefully he can get Jack Johnson's numbers up too, because he's big trade bait. Well, for us at least, we want to get rid of him right now. But maybe this coaching change will help his career.
Okay, and Johnny, one more. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm happy to see Todd Reardon back in Pittsburgh. Honestly, most of the points have already been said by Scotty, Doug, Nolan, and Colin already. Reardon did have one of the best power plays for the Penguins here since I think when Mike Yeo was here, and that's been a while. So I'm happy to see he's back in the organization, as well as seeing a potential upgrade to helping the defensemen here in Pittsburgh. So it's going to be very interesting to see how next season goes for the Penguins.
All right, I like that indeed. Well, that about wraps up our show, ladies and gentlemen. So, as always, we want to thank you all for tuning in to CUTV Sports 1 and Forechecking. The second round is over. Moving on to all the conference finals now. Make sure to watch the West game tonight, Game 2, Dallas and Vegas. Tomorrow, of course, Game 2 of the East with the Islanders and Tampa Bay Lightning. Hopefully the Islanders can play a little bit better game than they did in Game 1. I'm sure Peyton would want that for sure. He's shaking his head yes there. So I want to thank all of our co-hosts coming in as well. Nolan Bistline, as always, Peyton Trollinger, Johnny Sakaguchi, our hockey expert Doug Glattke, Scotty for a third straight show. Thanks for joining us. And Colin Kirkwood, thanks for coming in and joining us, man. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. But thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to check out all the shows on CTV Sports 1 as they get uploaded. I know Peyton had a show right before this one that he had, so make sure to check that out also. And then we'll have another show after the conference finals are over. We'll fit one in, and then one after the Stanley Cup finals. So 2 more forechecking. And before you know it, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right into the Fantasy Football Freak Show again for the fall 2020 semester. So a lot of content for CUTV. Be sure to keep up to date with on our Facebook page, Twitter page, and on YouTube at CUTV Sports 1. But for now, I'm Trevor Gatellis. Thank you to everyone tuning in. We'll see you next time on Forechecking here on CUTV Sports 1. Have a great day, ladies and gentlemen.